And we are live here to chat about tonight's episode of Arrow, which was entitled Star City Slayer. It sounds so horror movie-ish. It was episode 13 of season 7. And it was the episode directly following the 150th, which was last week. And some pretty big stuff got revealed this episode. So we should just kick it off with that, get this out of the way. This is very not spoiler free. So if you have not watched the episode, you're about to get spoiled if you don't click away. In tonight's episode, it was revealed that Felicity is pregnant, that Black Star, which is the Avril Lavigne looking girl, is Oliver and Felicity's daughter, named Mia Smoke, which is likely a familiar name for those who know a bit about the comics. Mia Deirdre is sort of like a daughter/sister figure to Oliver throughout the comics. He sort of saves her, trains her, whatever. However, this version of Miss Mia is his daughter and seems to be very anti-vigilante. In fact, she's very anti-Oliver Queen in particular, and even goes so far as she only refers to herself as Felicity Smoke's daughter, even though we know that she's all Felicity's daughter. So very interesting. I see some very active folks in the chat already, so I'm going to jump into that. Carrie Johnson says, hey. Stormy Wood says, this episode is getting a 5 out of 5. Bruna says, hello, in all caps. And Lisa says, hi, yes. Kate Johnson says, 5 out of 5. I'm still shaking from excitement. Well, for those of you watching live, if you have not already, drop your rating in the chat. So far, we've got 2 5 out of 5s, which I will say, I think this is the first time all season we've had 2 5 out of 5s. I think there was one episode where we had a 5 out of 5 from someone, and then most of the time when it turns out pretty good, we get like a 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5, or 4.75 out of 5 or something. So 5 out of 5, that's really exciting. Bruna says 5 out of 5 says 5 out of 5 for me too. Wow. Okay. So I want to hear from you guys. There were a lot of things that kind of happened and got revealed in this episode. We had a lot of progress on the villain front. I know the villain side has kind of been a common complaint for a lot of us here, because we've had villains who we haven't cared for. What's the nice way to say we all hate Dragon? We all hate Dragon. But tonight we got a little bit of progress on that front because we now have the return of Stan as well. So tell me what your positives are. What's really sticking out to you having just watched the episode? What is it is it the Oliver and Felicity have a kid and it's Miss Mia, or are there other parts of this episode that are also standing out to you? Also, if you see the weird shadow of a cutout back there, it's a life-size cutout of Gina Torres that I randomly have in my currently very messy house. Story says Curtis is gone and he didn't die, so everyone wins. I won't miss the character. Yeah, I thought that was a fitting end for Curtis. They let him leave for moral reasons that were true to his character, or true to the current version of his character. He hadn't been written well in a while, so having him leave rather than being written into the ground or killed off was nice. And it was really nice to see Curtis hand off the Helix enterprises to Helix Incorporated, Helix, whatever Helix businesses that Felicity started and sort of started with him. He handed it off to her entirely, which was nice because from the beginning, I'm not sure that that was the best handled situation. I think that they sort of made like the tech minds go into business together because that's what tech minds do. And it really was always a situation where that was sort of Felicity's passion project. And they never really gave Curtis a passion project. They just sort of like gave a lot of her stuff to him, which just made nobody happy, right? If you're a fan mostly of Curtis, he's not getting anything of his own. If you're a fan mostly of Felicity, a lot of her stuff, her interests were getting passed off to him. If you're a fan of both or neither of them, I don't know. So that was the resolution. He can always return at some point because he's not dead, but hopefully if he does return, they reintroduce him once again, but back and better than ever. Kate Johnson says, I will say that the reveals, while mostly already guessed, were really well done. Yeah, I think they handled the challenge of talking through reveal, like the reveal of Connor Hawke, the reveal of Stanley, the reveal of Mia, the reveal of Curtis. They handled all of those in a way to where it wasn't like lackluster if you already knew who they were, what they were doing. Yeah. Bruna says Stanley was more evil in one episode than Dragon in 2 seasons. Stormy says Stan was a better villain in 1 episode than Diaz in almost 2 seasons. I was totally freaked out by him. You guys are all on the same page, and I strongly agree, by the way. I think Stanley's a fantastic villain. I will say, and I don't know if I mentioned this on After Show last week, but I definitely mentioned it on the Arrow Squad podcast last week, that I just, like, I'm not mad about it, but I just find it kind of funny / odd that we have so many fan-based villains this season. We have Stan, who's like, Stan, the terminology is, from the Eminem song, just refers to like a super fan. And then we had, in the 150th episode, we had, I don't know why I have my headphones in, as if I'm going to hear what you guys are typing in the chat. The 150th episode, we had, the super fan chimera, whatever it was trying to chop their faces off as masks because he was a vigilante super fan, basically. It just feels like they maybe have a bit too many villains in one season that are fan-based, but that's fine. I'm not going to complain because Stan is a really good villain. Really well portrayed by the actor as well. I think it was the writing for him is really good because it's really creepy without being overhanded and over the top. Lisa says, so much is standing out. The pregnancy, William leaving, what is the point of killing Samantha, Felicity alive, Stanley free. Yeah, I forgot to even mention the fact that we also had the reveal this episode that Felicity was alive. Although, to be fair, as you all are very familiar with hearing from me, I never thought Felicity was dead. I was like, come on, they're not going to kill her in the middle of a season. Like, if and when Felicity dies, she will die in a finale with aplomb and grandeur. Yeah, Lisa agrees that Stan is much better than Diaz. Carrie says, I appreciated the explosive family moments between Oliver and William. It was real and emotional and handled well. Yeah, I really like that they're not trying to go for the angle of like, Oliver is the perfect dad now, like just that fast, right? Because he was really thrust into this. I'm not sure he had ever, even under good circumstances, was the type who'd be like the perfect dad, right? Like he has pros and cons, and there's aspects where he's going to be great and aspects where he's not. But under these circumstances, which were extremely challenging, he did not get to see the kid grow up. So there's going to be aspects of William's personality that Oliver is just not going to be familiar with yet. And even as William was being raised in the Queen home, Felicity was the one who was pretty involved as like primary caregiver. Oliver is going to butt heads with William consequently, and not because he's a bad person and not even because he's a bad father. It's just because the nature of the situation is going to be extremely difficult for him, and they're strong personalities and they're going to fight, and that's just how it's going to be. And I like that we actually got to see that, and it wasn't in a super melodramatic way. It was in a believable way. I mean, almost, I don't know, if you grew up with any sort of conflict, maybe a relatable way even. I don't know. I thought it was really well done. Lisa also says Stanley was creepy good. Yeah, a lot of people echoing in the chat that there was a lot of good creepy villain moments. I think that's what's really pushing this episode to a place where it can be a 5 out of 5. We had progression on the villain front. We had creepy villains. We had, the lead up to it with the notes and everything was just like to where if you were really paying attention, you could probably have some guesses, but you weren't really going to know for sure who it was. So I thought it was fun. And it was just, it was a nice build up. We don't always get creepy on Arrow, and it was nice that we did. Then you had like the family moments, which had its ups and downs. You had Curtis leaving, which was well done and wasn't over dramatized and wasn't made out to be this like big tragic thing or this big fantastic thing. It just was what it was. Yeah. The flash forwards were excellent. The reveal of Connor Hawke, if you weren't familiar from, crossovers or watching Legend or just hearing about it, that would have been a really cool reveal as well, because you probably would have suspected that it was John Diggle's son, but you wouldn't know for sure. This was a great episode. Lisa says, curious about Mia having the Smoke last name. Is that a family thing? Was Donna using her mom's last name too? Really need to know. I suspect that what is going on with Mia using the Smoke last name is that Mia is quite anti-Oliver, it seems, and she only referred to Felicity as her mother. So I suspect she just really dislikes her father and has retroactively disowned him because she seems to be really anti-vigilante. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but that is what they're kind of trying to portray for her, is that she is very anti-Oliver, right? Stormy says the Queen family scenes were an emotional roller coaster. The reveal of Felicity's pregnancy was awesome, but William leaving broke my heart. None of them were wrong for their feelings. None of them were wrong for their feelings. That's a very good summary. That's very true. I didn't like that William was leaving. I was sad about that. I understand we still have a few episodes left before the end of the season, and he may come back, and that may be really fun. But I was sad that he was leaving. I like his dynamic with Felicity, especially. Yeah. Stan was given a reason to be evil in the chat. His dad was abusive, unlike Diaz, who was bullied on the playground. I do feel like Stan had a more believable evil backstory type of situation, and he also just plays it more believably too. He has that sort of tension and build-up that, if you remember, Prometheus did very well, which is good for this show. The show, because of how long it is, hour-long episodes, 22 episodes a season, you do have to be able to play into the build-up to be able to keep high tension, because it's a high drama show. It's on a teen channel. It's superhero drama. It's got multiple things going towards it needing to be constantly high shock value, high drama, high engagement. And for a villain, if you have the same villain over a long period of time, they can only accomplish so much per episode because they are supposed to be the villain for the whole season. And so you have to constantly suspect that there's more going on and there's more bubbling up and more things happening. And I think with Stan, you really get that. Lisa says, unfortunately, we will get Diaz next week, but we also get to see Felicity confront John. They really need to resolve the lack of information being shared about what actually happened with Diggle while Oliver was in prison, because I don't think they're going to be able to move Diggle's character believably forward until they actually address that and come to some sort of explanation and reason, or I don't know. Carrie says, is it possible that Ollie is not Mia's dad? That crossed my mind as well. I suspect they're going to make us they're going to try to make us wonder about that, and then it's going to be revealed. I don't know. Not that I always think I'm right, but I think I'm right. I think it's eventually going to be revealed that it's because she hates Oliver, so she's just disavowed that side of her family. But they may make us wonder if she has a different father. But that would then be while Oliver was in prison, right? And they made it pretty clear that Felicity was not dating, not interested in anyone else. She was still married, obviously, but the premise would be there that she would, because he's in prison, she's divorcing him, she's going to go to, and they explored her personal life and showed that she was not interested in anyone else. So I doubt that would actually happen. If it did, that would kind of be a reach. It would be a little too soap opera-y. Yes, I know it's comics. Yes, I know comics are soap operas, but it'd be it's too soap opera-y even for a soap opera-y comic on a soap opera channel. It's just, they may make us try to wonder for a while. Stormy says Felicity better get to rip Diggle for his treatment of her all these months. Yeah, I don't really, it's I don't want to see Diggle get dragged for it. I just want honesty about it. I don't want them to pretend it didn't happen. I want Oliver to know what actually happened, and for Diggle to maybe talk through what put him in that place or try to give some sort of explanation for it, but I just want honesty about it. Gabriella says she literally said she was Felicity's daughter and William's sister after her being hung on the fact that William was Oliver's son. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there you go. Putting two and two together. Basic math. Thank you, Gabriella. I guess I could have just started with that explanation. That's much more straightforward. She said she's Felicity's daughter and William's sister. William is only Oliver's son. He's not Felicity's daughter. So, like, yeah, they would be. Interesting. Lisa says exactly. Yes, thank you. So, final question. What do you guys want to see going forward? We have less than 10 episodes left, right? This was the 13th episode, and this goes to 22. So we have 8 or 9. I don't know. Math is hard. Something like that. What do you want to see in those last few episodes? What villain do you want to see? What storyline do you want to see explored? We've already had a lot of pretty huge reveals. What else do you want revealed? Carrie says, I do have one question. Future William said he hadn't seen his folks since they sent him away, but we see current William choosing to leave. What gives? Well, either William is a liar, which is possible. He is a queen. The queens always lie. Or it's because it's a possible future and that it doesn't exactly coincide with the current present. And as things are happening in the present, they're changing that future and we're seeing a possible future. Is that a decent explanation? Maybe. What I would like to see in the upcoming, 8 or 9 episodes, whatever it is more of an exploration of the current team dynamics. So we have Curtis now gone. That's resolved. We have probably a very interesting Oliver and Felicity dynamic if she decides whether or not she's going to tell him right away about the pregnancy. That's going to be fun. Also going to have Oliver and Felicity's dynamic as she continues working with Helix and he continues working with the SCPD, and there's all of that, and they have to resolve the thing with Diggle. So we're going to have Diggle's dynamic with Felicity and Oliver's dynamic. All of that. Renee's got his thing going on. And then I'm really curious about what's going on with Dinah, because she made a really interesting point at the beginning of this episode where she was saying, like, all my coworkers are going to treat me differently, now that they know that I, working essentially as a cop, am also a vigilante. And I'm like, I'm trying to think through that. And I'm like, yeah, like they should. My goodness. Can you imagine working with a cop and finding out one of the cops you're working with just decided they're above the law and beyond the law? And if there's anything that, they can't accomplish easily as a cop, they're just going to go suit up and tackle, drag people, do whatever they want above and beyond the law and not follow justice protocol. Can you imagine the outrage you would feel? I fully expect to see her coworkers be outraged. And I'm on the vigilante side. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's a superhero show. We're rooting for the vigilantes. It's fine. They're cool. I get it. Like, sometimes the law is fundamentally flawed and you got to do whatever. But the outrage that's going to be experienced by the other cops who are like, we followed down to the letter of the law exactly what you as captain said to do, and you were the one going above and beyond the law. Like, I'd be interested to see that dynamic as well. We see what you guys think. Lisa says, not Diaz, but I think we'll see Dante possibly. That would be exciting. Maybe. Stormy says, I want Felicity to finally start smoke tech. Let's get some Felicity happiness when she tells Oliver she's pregnant. Yeah, I want her to finally start smoke tech too. I'm over the Helix name. We're done with that. I want her to hire Alana, whatever her name is, from the past episodes, who worked with her in the whole, was it Hive thing or something? She was cool. She needs to be a coworker. I want, yeah. Anyway, Stormy says, next week's episode is called Brothers and Sisters, so I expect scenes for Oliver and Emiko, along with Mia and William. Yeah, I forgot Emiko exists. She's a thing. Hope that gets resolved and it's cool. Suzanne Crockett says definitely 5 out of 5. Yay, we got another 5 out of 5. Did we get anything less than a 5 out of 5? That is so many 5 out of 5. That's really exciting. Carrie says, I want to see Dinah and Central City Police Chief get more screen time. Do you mean like get more screen time or like get more screen time? Just asking, just checking. Yeah, I think that there's some potential for when they had back in last season, they had Samantha Watson coming in and questioning what it means to be a hero when you're going above the law, right? And it was a really interesting premise, and I think it was cut off too short. Certainly her return this season was cut off too short. I thought she did a fantastic job with Felicity. But we kind of have the potential to answer the same sort of questions here, where we can think through what is the final boundary in terms of actions one can take as a vigilante if that boundary is not the law. What is the code of vigilantes, and what is stopping that code from becoming legal? That, I think, is, who decides that they're a vigilante? Can Stan decide that he's a vigilante? Can Renee decide that he's a vigilante? What if vigilantes have different moral codes? Those, I think, will be some interesting questions to see answered. Stormy says, the police chief on The Flash is gay. Is that where they sent Curtis off to? Dinah and Central. Oh, Dinah and... I'm so slow. Dinah and Central City's police chief. I don't know why I was thinking of Star City and the mayor. You know what? Just strike everything I said. Regardless, I do want to see Dinah and the police force talk through the idea of being a vigilante above the law and see the consequences of that. I think that would be really interesting. Curtis went to Washington, D.C. You know what? It's been a long day. I didn't keep any of this straight. Curtis went to D.C., left Argus, went to D.C. True. He did not go to Central City. He's not hooking up with a gay police officer there. Tragic. We could have had a better romance on The Flash, but alas, we're stuck with... Anyways. Stormy says the police chief on The Flash is gay. He and his husband were at the West Allen wedding last night. Okay, that makes sense. It also makes sense because I ignored the West Allen wedding at all costs because that was really cringy. Anyways, we're at 21 minutes. I'm 1 minute over. You guys had so many good things to say. I really enjoyed getting to read all those 5 out of 5s. That was really fun. And I am so happy to see so many positive things said about the episode. It has been a while since I've seen that many positive things said about any episode. It is fun, it's exciting, and I'm looking forward to the last few episodes this season. I think that this was even better than the 150th episode. So here's to 151 and to 152 being even better. All right, Lisa says ciao. Ciao. Bye, guys.